I absolutely love PMU, and I
Yes.
love this industry.
Me
I
too.
love other artists. I'm just intrigued and just as fascinated and just as in love as the day I started.
Yeah.
And you said something out there to me that really struck me because people have heard me say this many, many times, is that you said permanent makeup saved you. And I have never heard another human being say that. And I have said that a lot on podcasts, lectures, when I go on stage.
Yeah.
Because I say it, because that's my truth and that's my reality.
That's how I
I
feel.
don't know where I would be today if I had not come across permanent makeup.
Yeah.
So how did permanent makeup save? Are we going to get a little deep and a little emotional?
Yeah, we are, but I'm down for it.
Well, I think PMU is a lot of things to different people. It can be just a way to earn money. It can be something fun, and it can be a lot of things. And then it can be something so deep, so
It's my
profound
passion.
that saved
Yes.
saved somebody.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So I was pregnant at the time that I thought about getting into this. I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I was sitting in the back seat. I remember my child's grandmother, her dad's mom. I was sitting in the car, and I was just scrolling, and I came across this brow style of doing microblading, and I was like, what the heck is this? So I researched it, and I was pregnant. I remember telling my daughter's father, I said, once I drop this baby, I'm getting into this industry. I want to do this. And he was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I had my baby. I was working at a bank at the time. So I had been there for about a year and a half. I had taken my maternity leave and stuff off, came back. Everything was completely different when I came back. So I was like, okay, whatever. But I got the feeling that they were trying to kick me out. Like I just felt like they were trying to revamp everything, and they kept writing me up or kept looking at my drawer, counting my drawer, just picking at me to kind of get me kicked out the door. So I remember one day I just got sick of it. I woke up, I'm like, God, I need something different than this job. Like, I just want to do something different. Excuse me. I said, I just want to do something different than this. Walk into work that day, the man comes to my station. He says, guys, talk to you. So he tells me that there's a the check that has been cashed on my drawer that was fraudulent. And I, have no idea. I'm like, well, I checked the number. I checked the background. It was a decent check. I gave them what I thought was theirs. Nope, it's a fake check. So you got to do the research to find out where this money is and bring it back, or you're fired.
Is that typical, that's banking protocol?
I guess so.
Okay.
But I'm thinking, with it being my first check, this is a little extreme, for
Right.
but it was a $2,000 check or 25 or something. And I guess the threshold for too much of a loss is over $2,000.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was kind of a rule there. So he fired me right there on the spot. It was like 9:30 in the morning. I went outside. I said, God, I'm not going to another training class. I'm not sitting in another 5-7 week orientation. I'm not doing that. I said, what I'm doing now, I have 2 babies. I already have the one. I have 2 now. What I'm doing now is what I want to do for me. So I got on the phone, looked up microblading in my area. Whoever, I'm like, microblading. Looked it up. It's this girl right in the area. I went to high school in Benson, so it's a little small area of Omaha. So she's right in the area of Benson. So I was like, call her. And I'm like, she's like, hello. And I'm like, I just lost my job and I got 2 kids and I really want to do this. And I just start going off on the mouth, and I'm like trying to hold back from crying because I'm like, in this position now.
Right.
I don't have a job. I have 2 kids. My girl's dad and we were together. But that wasn't dependable. So I was like, spilled my life story out to her for 20 or 30 minutes. We talked, and she's like, and I'm like, do you have any, my whole thing was to say, do you have any other payment plan options or anything that you could do to get me started? I said, I just got fired from my job today, and I just really want to get into something that's for me. And I've been researching this. I know I could be really good at this.
Your own business. Yes. You want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I'm trying to get, it's just a completely different route. I've served tables. I've cocktail waitress. I've worked in telemarketing. I've done everything in Omaha that I can to be as successful as possible. Right. And I'm not getting where I want. So I was like, is there any other payment plan options or any other ways that I could pay? And she's like, no, this is my only option. And so I was like, okay. And she was like, well, the well changed my life.
Right.
Y'all.
Yeah. Right.
She's like, well, I'm actually, she said, it's just me in my studio. And she said, I'm looking for somebody. She said, I'm traveling out, didn't have any kids, not married or nothing. She's like, I'm a traveling artist and I go back and forth to Atlanta and Texas. She's like, I'm here by myself. So I want to get someone in here to kind of help me. Maybe they could work under me, like an apprentice or like an assistant or something
And
like that.
end up taking some of her appointments.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's like, coming in and helping me kind of take some of the workload off, keeping the business, stocked up, going to go do what you got to do. So I was like, yeah, sure. Keep me in mind for that. Like, I'd love that. And she's like, well, I don't have the position open right now, but within the coming weeks, I should have something available. So I'm like, I need something today. I need you to be giving me a job today. But of course, I was like, I don't care. I was like, call me when you're ready. Like, I'll be ready for you. Please put me down for that. I will be the one. So went back home. It was a week later. It was a Tuesday. She called me. And by that time, I'm already dropping my resume at other banks and, back to what I know. Because I'm like, shit, I got to get this rolling.
Gotta have a paycheck.
Yeah. So I had sat there. Oh, my God. I remember this day on my couch. And she called me. I'm like, oh, my God. And I answered. And she's like, hey. She's like, I've been thinking about you since the day we talked. She's like, I can't get you out of my mind every day. She's like, every day I can't get you out of my mind. She's like, I want to meet you. And I was like, okay. She was like, do you have a resume?
And you probably couldn't get her out of your mind.
No, yeah. I'm like, well, and I had researched like other microbladers but they were not in my area. They were way too costly. They were so she was like the one. I'm like, she's literally 2 minutes down the street. Like, this would be perfect. So she calls back and she's like, yeah, that's what she said. She's like, do you have a resume? I said, yeah, of course. She's like, can you send me your resume over and do you want to meet? I'm like, I will meet you now. Like, I will come now. So she's like, yeah, just come by tomorrow at such and such time, 11 o'clock. I said, okay, fine. So that whole night I couldn't even sleep. I'm like, what's going to happen to me tomorrow, God? Like, what's going to happen? So I wake up, get myself all dolled up, put some red lipstick on. I'll never forget. And I walked in there. And she was like, I love your resume. She's like, you have, and this is why I feel like this is what I was meant to do, because everything that I've done up until the point of doing permanent makeup prepared me for that.
Right.
Customer service, working with people, working with disgruntled people, working with situations. I feel like it all prepared me for
Did
this.
you always have like a creative side?
Yeah.
You
always,
did. So you had that.
Yeah. My grandmother, she's owned a daycare for about 40 years. So that's kind of where I picked that up. I just would be creative with her and the kids, and then I would go to school. You talk
about grandma a lot.
Yeah, that's my baby.
You love grandma.
I love her. I love her so much. But yeah, I worked with her growing up, and I run all the activities and all the window take-home stuff, and for holidays and special seasons and stuff. So I've always had a kind of a creative streak to me. I use my right side of my brain. Is that what they say? Rather than the left side. So that's how I always was. So yeah, I went in there with her, and I was like. She was like, well, I love your resume. She's like, there's a lot of people in our industry that are B words. And she's like, they don't know how to treat people. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to come down to that level and kind of meet people at their level. They feel like they're so good at what they do. And they're so, it's almost an honor for people to be in their presence when really we're providing a service to our clients that sometimes changes their lives. You know what I'm saying? She's like, you got to have a touch with people to be able to relate to that. And she's like, I just love that. So we had a conversation. We sat there for about 45 minutes. And after that, I left with the apprenticeship position for $13 an hour.
That's awesome.
And I worked for her so she had set it up for 24 months.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I'm like, you're going to pay me?
So did you have to sign a contract, do all that? No contract? Just a handshake?
Like, she was like, just come, you can come shadow me for my clients. You come into the training classes that I hold, and you can help me with the training classes. But, I'm in the training classes, like, doing what I got to do, too. Yeah. So, but it was all free. It just all came to me with that apprenticeship. So that's why I feel like it changed my life, because I didn't have the money at the time. And I feel like I would have done it eventually because it's something I really wanted to do. But she kind of, like, dropped it in my lap, like, I'll train you. Just show up. And I didn't have to pay for anything. I went to her shop. She loaned me her supplies, her pigment, all that. And I was just there working. So she had it set up for 24 months. She let me go after 6. She was like, I have no reason to hold you back from making your own money. She's like, you're bomb at what you do. I'm not going to keep you here. So
That's great.
That
So
was
you
me.
started your own thing, and now you're in Vegas.
That was in
and-
August. By the time, I think from August to December, I made $20,000.
Oh, wow.
And to me, from like
Yeah.
welfare and food stamps
Yeah.
and that type of background, like I was like, oh, that was like $4 grand a month. You know,
Yeah.
starting out, I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
that's a lot of money.
yes, it was. I was surprised.
Yeah, and I wanted you to share your story because there's a lot of, there could be a lot of young women in that same position, and maybe not seeing a hope or and because the struggle's
out.
real, not seeing a way out, and you did. Lots of people have, I did, you did, and there's lots of people in PMU that have a story like that, a story of struggle. And sometimes people only see where you're at now.
Right.
They don't see behind the scenes and all the years leading up to where you are now that, are difficult and hard, and of course full of wonderful and happy, joyful
tears and happiness and all that.
But I started this podcast for talk about PMU entrepreneurship, definitely in highlighting women that have become business owners, entrepreneurs, and if that woman came from a place of struggle, a place where maybe you shouldn't have made it, because
The odds are
of
against me.
this and the
Boy, I
odds
tell
were
ya.
against you.
Boy, I tell you.
Right. Because I think some people, they get into victim mode.
Woe was me.
Woe was me. And
I'm
once.
not good with that. I'm not good.
No, and me neither. I was never.
I try, but I can't coddle that attitude.
Yeah,
it makes
right.
me sick.
Yeah, but some people do label them, and I think once they've labeled themselves victim, it's becomes really detrimental to them. It's hard to get out of that, and it can be dangerous for them. And I do see it. I do see that happen with some people.
Yeah.
And that's not what you did.
No, their dad, he and I, we had 6 years of relationship together. And it was a toxic one, might I tell you. So it kind of gave me the ability to kind of have my own and just leave that all behind. That's kind of the reason why I left Omaha. So I was kind of worried about that, and just him coming up and like, it's different when you're coming to my job. You're trying to come to where I service my clients at,
Right.
Threatening to come drop my kids off or threatening to come up there acting crazy. So I was like, you know what? I'm good at what I do. I'm relying on this, and I'm just going to take that risk and snatch my babies. And we got up out of Omaha.
Yeah, and you're Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you picked Vegas.
Thank you. I know. I love Vegas. It's so different here.
Yeah, it's different, but it's good. It's
is.
good.
I
You
love
gotta like. My wish for you is that you make a couple friends here.
I do. I need some.
That's my wish for you. That's what
I really do.
Yeah,
I
because I
can't
think you'd be a
connect.
great friend.
I am.
And the kind of friends that become family. Because I was able to do that because I left my family 26 years ago as a young lesbian.
Right.
Yes. And lost
Yeah.
and depressed and dark and all kinds of crazy things. And I was able to meet some really good people, and my friends have become my family.
Yeah,
And I
that's how I
know,
feel.
yeah, and you will. You just got to put yourself out there a little bit.